1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. 3, 4, better lock the door. 5, 6, grab your crucifix. 7, 8, gonna stay up late. 9, 10, never sleep again. Welcome back, everyone. Another episode of Nerds of the North, back with a Blu-ray review, and what a collection we have for you this week. We have, obviously, the Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray collection. This collection is incredible with the amount of special features it actually has. Now, as it says here on the front cover image, you can see that this is all 7 films in the collection. But that doesn't exactly show 100% what's available in this collection. I have my copy down here, and I'll just read you some of the things that are actually available on the back of this. Well, for most part, you're getting 2 films per disc. Disc 2 will have Freddy 2 and 3. Disc 3 will have 3 and 4, or 4 and 5. Disc 4 will be Final Nightmare and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Disc 1 is entirely devoted to A Nightmare on Elm Street, containing so many special features. We're looking at the alternate takes, filmmaking secrets, 2 separate commentaries, one with director Wes Craven and Heather Langenkamp and John Saxon, and the cinematographer Jacques Hatkin. The other with Wes Craven, Robert Englund, Heather Langenkamp, and Ronnie Blakely, with producer Rob Shea and co-producer Sarah Reischer. You also have the alternate endings, 3 separate featurettes, The House That Freddy Built, The Legacy of Never Sleep Again, and Night Terrors, as well as an interactive trivia track. That in itself, looking at the amount of stuff that's in here, it's incredible. Now, Nightmare on Elm Street has been re-released and re-released and re-released so many times. You always have to add something extra to it, or otherwise, why are people buying the collections? This, they're brought fully up to Blu-ray definition standards, with it being an older negative for some of the earlier films, you do see the slight pixelations, the scratches still, but where it comes true perfectly is the soundtrack. The soundtrack in this is killer, because especially in the first film, you don't see Freddy that clearly, but you hear him. And it's the hearing him that, myself personally, drove me away from this film series when I was a kid. I believe I knew about Freddy Krueger from an incident at my public school during Halloween. I was terrorized by one of the senior students, and I remember hiding under the staircase to the portables for the entire length of recess. And it wasn't that he did anything, it's that he showed up in the mask with the claw and just took a few steps towards me, and it was such a terrifying image, I bolted. It was... Freddy is really part of a nightmare. He's well done. And when you look at the behind-the-scenes features and everything for how this film was made, and with all the talking from all the extras, all the actors, it really goes to show that, number 1 is where it was supposed to be. Wes Craven himself wasn't happy with 2, 3, 4, 5. You took Freddy out of the dream, especially in the second one. Freddy's supposed to be in the dream all the time. You can't bring him out. Even when you think you see him out in the real world, you're actually in a dream. When you pull him out of the dream, it kind of loses a lot of its luster. And Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where they went back and talked about everything, that film's actually quite interesting because it covers, stuff that was actually happening to Heather. Like, she was actually getting stalked and followed by someone sending her packages, constantly calling, pretending to be Freddy. And all this came out in a conversation with Wes Craven. And then a few days later, a script showed up saying, with what you've talked about, I think we got to do a film. And this is where Wes Craven's New Nightmare came from. If you're looking for, Nightmare on Elm Street collection, you don't own it yet, definitely pick this one up. I grabbed this one from my local Walmart for $25. Yes. 25 Canadian dollars. And I have, quite honestly, the most legendary horror franchise. And there's something to be said about that. Like, we can go through all the bonus features that are on here, and it's just going to be a quick little list of nonsense. But Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, has 4 separate featurettes. Dream Warriors has 7. Dream Master has 4. Dream Child has 5, including 2 music videos. Freddy's Dead Final Nightmare has 4 featurettes. Wes Craven's New Nightmare has a commentary by Wes Craven, 5 featurettes. And then you get the specialties disc here, disc 5, containing over 3 hours of special features, including 2 episodes from the Freddy's Nightmare television series, photo galleries, and a retrospective called Fear Himself, The Life and Crimes of Freddy Krueger. If you're a Freddy fan, and you don't have this in your collection, have you not been able to find it in your local store? That's got to be my guess, because otherwise, you need to own this. You really do. One of my close friends is a huge Freddy Krueger fan, and I told him where to find this and for the price, and I think he went off immediately to pick it up. He has the collection on VHS. He has the collection on DVD already, and now he has the collection on Blu-ray, and I think it's one of the first Blu-rays he's actually gone out to own, just because of what's available on it. For him, as a huge fan of Freddy Krueger, this was something he had to have. Now, Freddy Krueger, things need to be owed to him that you wouldn't automatically expect right away. There's there's a documentary in the beginning called The House That Freddy Built, The Legacy of New Line Horror. And, we can thank Nightmare on Elm Street for this. Let's look at what's available in the horror genre. And not all of them are exactly hardcore horror. But let's look at what's available in the horror genre from New Line Cinemas. You have the Freddy Krueger franchise. You have The Mangler. You have Man's Best Friend. You have Critters. You have, more recently, they've gotten control of the Jason Friday the 13th franchise. They've also got control of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a horror action sci-fi by the name of The Hidden, the Blade trilogy. All these movies came together, and this is a brand new studio when it started with Nightmare on Elm Street 1. Like, producer Bob Shea wasn't even allowed to have his credit on the film because he was scrambling so much to get money. One of the only reasons he could get the money in was the investors got their name on it directly. He didn't have any say. So he went through hell just to get this movie put together and made. And with New Line Cinemas being formed, I believe there's one major franchise that's owed to New Line Cinemas. Oh, what's it? It's not horror. Oh, right. The Lord of the Rings franchise. Without the success of Freddy Krueger, would we have The Lord of the Rings? I don't think so. Brief sidetrack here. Like, Lord of the Rings, they tried to have it made with Miramax. Miramax backed out. New Line Cinemas not only stepped in and picked it up, but they were the ones that said, Lord of the Rings. No. It's not 2 films. This is 3 books. This is a 3-film trilogy. That was New Line's decision. So you can thank Freddy Krueger and Wes Craven for the $3 billion movie franchise that became Lord of the Rings. All because of Fred Krueger with the knife gauntlet and the very, very iconic red and green striped shirt and the hat. Like, when you think Nightmare on Elm Street, you immediately think dreams, and you think of the glove. It's guaranteed to happen. Those are the 2 of the most iconic images. And you know what? It's a series that definitely earns its respects. So we'll go over it quickly. For the main features of this, the films are all in 1080p. You have the DTS HD master of 7.1 for the first film. And then just standard English 5.1 audio for movies 2 to 7. You do also get the Dolby English 2.0 for movies 4 to 7. And 1.0 for movies 1 to 3. This franchise spans quite a long time frame, so there's many different recording aspects that have gone through it over the years. In fact, you even had, with Freddy's Dead, they had a 3D scene, and it didn't really work out on home video, so they cut it out when it was released on VHS. They've tried to bring it back in some editions on DVD to bring in the 3D, but for the most part, it doesn't really work that well. So they've decided to leave it out of most of the collections now, and just, here you go, here it is without the 3D ending. What is there really else to say? If you are looking for something to add to your collection and you're a fan of horror films, definitely pick this up. I myself am not a fan of horror films. I will watch them very occasionally. I think I've, up until recently, just getting ready to do the review, that's the first time I've seen some of these. I know it's the first time I've seen Final Nightmare. It's the first time that I've seen The Dream Child. And it's the first time I've seen Freddy's Revenge. Because my friend who's a huge fan of Freddy Krueger had me watch 2 films. He had me watch The Dream Warriors and The Dream Master. Those are the ones I remember. The first one was new to see. And I'm sure everybody knows, the first Nightmare on Elm Street is where Johnny Depp got his start. So, he's not in it for very long, but he does a decent job. And you can thank, by the way, Wes Craven's daughters for that, because Johnny Depp wasn't really going to be given the part, but his daughters looked at him and went, he's a heartthrob. You have to put him in the movie. So, Wes Craven's daughters are the reason Johnny Depp is in Nightmare on Elm Street. Can't say too much about that, right? Just because I'm starting to ramble for a little bit here. It's not really my forte, horror films. I'm sure there's numerous other horror review artists out there you can watch. Count Jacula is definitely one of them. You can find him over on Channel Awesome. He does a lot of horror reviews if you're looking for more of the horror aspect of things. As a Blu-ray collector, this is worth it. And it's so neatly packed. Like, you were looking at a seven movie collection, 5 discs. There it is. Beautiful jeweled case, not a cardboard slip case, finally. Just jewels. All the discs on their own little slip pieces. Very well done, very easy to fit on a shelf because it's really not that much bigger than an actual Blu-ray case. In fact, there you go. Side by side with another Blu-ray case, right? not that big of a difference at all. So, from a collecting point of view, really easy to sit on a shelf, especially if you're the type of person who likes to have everything in alphabetical order, nice and neat. And then you get to those stupid collection boxes that are different sizes, different shapes, and that throws your entire shelf out of whack. This will fit in nicely. For the price, you really can't knock it. And we're getting ready to come up to Halloween, so this is the perfect thing to sit down and watch. Take care, everyone. This is Nerds of the North. I'll be back with another review. I've got a shelf load of stuff I have to still look at, so there'll be another one coming. Take care, and remember, careful how you sleep, because you never know when Freddy's going to come for you.